this astonishing new science on fructose. Fructose is it's the simplest of the simple sugars. Sugars come in, saccharide is a fancy word for sugar, I guess, and they come in monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide forms. You know, a very simple sugar, two sugar molecules, essentially, two kinds of sugar, disaccharides, and polysaccharides, you know, which is basically starches, complex sugars. And I'm hyper-simplifying this and probably not even scientifically accurate in my description, but I think metaphorically it's a reasonable description. And while fructose exists in fruit, thus the name fructose, it exists in fruit in fairly low quantities, and it coexists with fiber. So we know, for example, and there's good science on this, and there's a great video about this over at nutritionfacts.org. We know that when people just drink fruit juice, apple juice, orange juice, grapefruit juice, whatever it may be, when they just drink fruit juice on a regular basis over a long period of time, it significantly increases the probability that they will acquire type 2 diabetes and other things. You know, they may gain weight and things like that, but mostly it triggers this diabetic response and that they may end up with fatty liver disease. Why? Because there's a lot of fructose, but there's no fiber. On the other hand, if people consume the exact same amount of fructose, but they do it with the fiber, in other words, if you eat an apple rather than drinking a glass of apple juice, it not only does the reverse, it reduces your risk of developing diabetes. But they have just in the last year discovered that the fiber that is in most kinds of fruit, and apples are particularly good at this, this fiber contains compounds that are essential nutrients for the bacteria in your gut. And the bacteria in your gut is what transports nutrients in part into your body and keeps your intestines healthy. And also the latest study, and this was just astonishing, this was just in Science last week, that the balance of gut flora or imbalance seems to be associated with mood disorders or happiness. The people who have healthy gut flora tend to have a happy outlook on life, and people who have unhealthy gut flora tend to have anxiety disorders that can be repaired or fixed by fixing their gut flora. And one of the most effective ways to do that is to stop eating refined sugars and instead start eating apples, right? Fruit that actually has the fiber along with the sugar. So all of that said, here's where it gets even more interesting. This is from Science Daily. It's up right now. You can find it over there. ScienceDaily.com, I think it is, org, whatever it is. When University of Utah biologists, this is out of the University of Utah. It's January 5th, 2015 press release. And the headline is, Fructose More Toxic Than Table Sugar in Mice. Now, table sugar is a combination of sugars. Fructose is just fructose. When University of Utah biologists fed mice sugar in in doses proportional to what many humans eat, the fructose-glucose mixture found in high-fructose corn syrup was more toxic than sucrose or table sugar, reducing both the reproduction and lifespan of female rodents. They called it the most robust study showing that there is a difference. This is the quote from the Journal of Nutrition from biology professor Wayne Potts. He says, this is the most robust study showing there's a difference between high-fructose corn syrup and table sugar at human-relevant doses. Both high-fructose corn syrup and sucrose are equally toxic to male mice, but with female mice, it radically reduces their reproduction ability, their ability to become pregnant and to maintain a pregnancy to term, and their lifespan. The Potts says the debate over the relative dangers of fructose and sucrose is important, quote, because when the diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome epidemic started in the mid-1970s, they corresponded with both a general increase in consumption of added sugar and the switch over from sucrose, being the main added sugar in the American diet, to high-fructose corn syrup, making up half our sugar intake. That was, you remember, around the time of the New Coke thing, right? The whole New Coke, Old Coke was a way of dumping sugar and replacing it with high-fructose corn syrup. And then they rolled out Coke Classic, only instead of putting sugar in it, they put high-fructose corn syrup in it. And now some soft drinks are coming back out with just sugar because the high-fructose corn syrup is so extraordinarily toxic, apparently. So now we go to the website wearechange.org. An article, this was referenced over at Democratic Underground today by Ed Hopper. But it's a clip from wearechange.org/corporations-renamed-high-fructose-corn-syrup. And from that website, the product is General Mills Vanilla Chex. The front of the box clearly states that the product contains no high-fructose corn syrup. But turn it over to read the ingredients list, and there it is, the new isolated fructose. Really? According to the Corn Refiners Association, there's been a name change. The word fructose is now being used to denote a product that was previously known as HFCS, as in high fructose corn syrup, 90, meaning that it is 90% pure fructose. Regular HFCS, which contains 42 or 55% fructose, is still labeled as high fructose corn syrup. But this 90% stuff? The CRA, this is the Corn Refiners Association, explains, quote, a third product, HFCS 90, is sometimes used in natural and light foods where very little is needed to provide sweetness. Syrups with 90% fructose will not state high fructose corn syrup on the label. They will state fructose or fructose syrup. So if you're trying to avoid high fructose corn syrup because you're trying to avoid fructose, and you get this stuff that says high fructose corn, it says, this says fructose syrup or fructose, you've gotten the worst, apparently, or the most potent form of HFCS. This is really quite an extraordinary test. These guys on the mouse study, back to Science Daily, previous mouse studies with the test found harmful effects of inbreeding, harmful effects of the antidepressant Paxil, and last year, an added sugar diet with fructose and glucose in amounts proportional to a healthy human diet plus 3 cans of soda a day. These health effects have been missed by conventional tests. The 2013 study found that when mice were fed either a diet with 25% calories in the form of added fructose and glucose monosaccharides or 25% calories from starch, right? In other words, the difference between candy bars or rice, right, or bread, females died at twice the normal rates, and males were a quarter less likely to hold territory and reproduce. This is astonishing. Female mice on the fructose-glucose diet had death rates 1.87 times higher. That's 187% higher than females on the sucrose diet. They also produced 26.4% fewer offspring. So just so you know, I have been hysterical for some time about just absolutely, totally avoiding high fructose corn syrup. I've been talking about it on this program for years. In fact, back 8 or 9 years ago, I was talking about this on this program. And the Corn Refiners Association sent me this beautiful 4-color brochure about how high fructose corn syrup is just fine for you. Don't worry, everything's great. I'm not convinced.